Hello, this is Dr. Paul Cottrell, and I'm recording this on September 16th. Yesterday, there was an attempted assassination on Trump. He was at one of his golf courses in Florida. I think this is the West Palm Beach one. And there was this individual that was by the fence with an AK-47 with a GoPro and some bags with metal plates in them. And the Secret Service noticed this individual and started shooting at him. He left the scene and sped off in his vehicle. Supposedly an individual was able to take a picture of his car and his license plate. So they fed this into their database and they eventually caught this individual, all right? Now, I want to just step back and just look at it from just not the incident per se, but just the psychology of this, all right? There's too much vitriol that's going on with this election on both sides, where safety of the candidates are at stake here. Now, I am concerned about how the government is viewing this, not just with Trump, but just with past presidents and new candidates to the scene for the presidency. The president and the vice president gets a certain level of security bubble with the Secret Service. Now, the Secret Service is spread kind of thin, all right? And Trump has events typically that are pretty large, all right? In addition, you also had another candidate running as an independent, but first tried to run as a Democrat, which is our FK Jr., with the history of the Kennedys being assassinated during, election seasons and all this stuff. It's problematic. Biden has been slow walking, or at least not being cognizant of the elevated risks for Trump and for RFK Jr. All right. If you had family history of family members being assassinated, you would think, even though that they're not the president or a vice president or a former president or whatever, that person should be getting some Secret Service detail. After Trump's first assassination attempt, that was a couple months back or so, I think, was that in July? I lost track now. They did start increasing security for RFK Jr. All right. They have increased security for Trump, but let's just step back. What do we hear in the media? The media is saying Trump's not the president, but a former president, so he gets less security detail. Well, there's a problem with that, okay? He's a unique individual. One, he is a former president that targeted terrorists in his administration and killed them. He's also has a platform that's very, let's just say, anti-Iranian. And Iran is known for putting on hits on individuals. Now, I'm not saying that Iran is tied to this particular incident that took place yesterday. That's not the point. The point is that he's a former president that is running for presidency, is the leading contender, and has a platform that is anti-Iranian, and has had a previous presidency that is anti-Iranian. And this is where the problem with bureaucracy, even if you don't like the guy, if you just look at this in the purest sense of just red tape, bureaucratic red tape, everyone is very siloed and very monolithic and just input, output with no thinking. All right. Is Donald Trump a former vice president? Or is Donald Trump a former president? Yes. Is he running for election? Yes. So he gets less. He is he a former president? Yes. All right. So he gets less security detail relative to the president. Okay, I can see that the president should get more security detail than a former president. I mean, all these former presidents do get security detail, and as time goes on, it gets smaller and smaller. If there's some sort of elevated risk, maybe they put more people on the security detail. But this is a former president that's running for presidency. That could he could win. It's about a 50-50 here right now. All right. So instead of having this monolithic approach to, well, he's just a former president. No, he's a former president that killed terrorists and is running for presidency. So there's an added dimension that just former presidents or current president monolithic thinking doesn't apply to for Trump. All right. So it's really important to keep that in mind, that former presidents, yeah, they should get less security detail. They should get maybe a little bit more elevated security detail if there is some sort of elevated threat for their family because of terrorism or whatever. All right. But because he has large events, he's running for president, and he's a former president, don't you think that there's additional threat level because of that versus someone that was never had no family history or presidency, no family history of assassinations, no, if it's just a regular candidate, once they get past the primary, then some security, some elevated security, but not at the level of presidency. But with Trump, it's a little different. Big events, already 2 assassination attempts. There's lots of vitriol on both sides of the aisle between Democrats and Republicans. And he knocked out terrorists during his administration. So there's an added dimension to this. So if this monolithic thinking that's coming from mainstream media that's just saying, you know what, he's a former president and he shouldn't get additional security, I think they're wrong. I think they're wrong. He needs additional security, right? He's a former president that's running for president. See, if it's just former president, then less security detail. Okay, that makes sense. Unless there's credible evidence of some sort of elevated risk for him or her, because of things that have happened during their prior administration. But he's running for president. He's a former president running for president. This is a rare situation on top of having large rally events. So monolithic thinking, the big takeaway, the psychological and the lessons learned, the big takeaway is you can't view things monolithically. He's a former president, so he gets this level of security. No, he's a former president, and what other variables are in play here? He's the top of the ticket for the Republican Party for the 2024 general election. He also knocked out terrorists during his prior administration. That whole risk assessment should dictate on the level of security bubble with the president through the Secret Service. So I think that the Biden administration at the very beginning um, uh, did not did not care or did not understand the full totality of what's going on with the true threat with domestically or even internationally against Trump as he's running for the 2024 election. So this is a problem. Then I think that there was slow walking. I think the Democratic Party in general, the, the mainstream media wants to hear that he gets shot and that passes away. They want that deep down inside. There's no doubt in my mind. Lester Holt and Wolf Blitzer and Dana Bash and all these Donna Bash, all these individuals that are in the mainstream media, Chuck Todd, they really want Trump assassinated. That's what they want, right? They won't say it, but that's deep down inside. These people don't like Trump. Let me give you an example of there was an event at the Harvard Club a few weeks ago. Ali Velshi was promoting his book. He has a book about his family and immigrants and our area, and he tells a story on when he was starting CNN and all this stuff. And I'm not going to go into the details because it's Chatham House rules, but the thing that my takeaway from him is that he is a person that is a never Trumper. He works for MSNBC now. The media, this MSNBC, the ABC, the NBC, the CNNs, the CBSs, these networks really hate Trump. Now, maybe for different reasons. Some of it they feel that this is a holdout from the whole Clinton era, the whole Hillary Clinton era, right? And they've been beholden to the Clinton apparatus. Some of it is that they don't like a successful individual that through hard work gets ahead. All right. They don't like the idea that it's about America first. So he's kind of an anti-globalist. So he's about fair trade. He's about competition, but he's not about globalization. He's about localization. It's about they don't like that. They don't like the whole idea. So this is a battle between globalization and localization. This is a battle between America first or America last. It's a battle between having our own manifested destiny in the United States, or to be beholden to some sort of edict from the UN. So these individuals don't like Trump because he represents something. He represents the idea of support your own and have all the countries support their own. And by doing that, you're going to have a safer and a more prosperous and more competitive world, instead of just looking at one variable. See, Ali Velshi, he looks at one variable. He'll go, well, if you raise tariffs, it's going to increase inflation. Well, if you increase the manufacturing base in the United States, and as you're ramping up goods and services, you're going to have more supplies, so the cost of those goods and services are going to go down. So there's a short term and a long term. And you got to look at all the variables of the equation instead of just one. And this is the thing that I don't like about mainstream media. It's this monolithic, one variable analysis. Trump, vice president, therefore he gets this security level. Instead of looking at Trump, vice president, running for re-election in the 2024 campaign, previous assassination attempts, and has a platform that is anti-Iranian. Don't you think you need a little bit more security by the Secret Service, and with all the vitriol. And then you had, I think it was Lester Holtz, maybe not, maybe it was another uh, newscaster, but basically spinning it as if this is the cause. This second assassination attempt was really the cause of all the negativity that Trump says in the media. What about Senator Waters? Is it Senator or House of Rep? I think it's Senator. No, I think it's Senator. Maybe it's House Representative Waters, or Pelosi, or AOC, where they go and basically say, cause havoc in your society, especially during the hearings for the Supreme Court justices. That's a problem. So who's the party at fault here? Now, I think that both sides of the equation, the Democratic side and the Republican side, there's too much vitriol against each other, and it needs to tone down. But the thing is that Trump is basically saying, we have a porous border. We have illegals coming in. We have more crime. There's no doubt in New York, there's more crime because of illegal immigrants. There's no doubt about that. But it's spun it away. It's like, no, everything's fine. Everything's fine. So it's not, it's a globalist agenda that's pushed by the mainstream media. And there is this attitude of never Trump. There's this, they hate. I'll tell you, I saw it for myself with my own eyes with Ali Belshi. He hates Trump. I saw it and they spin it in a way where he's a dictator. Trump's going to be a dictator. You know what? We have a constitutional republic that has 3 branches of government with a Bill of Rights. All right. No one can be a dictator. The Supreme Court can't dictate the legislative body. The legislative body can't dictate to the Supreme Court. The legislative body can't dictate to the executive branch. The executive branch can't dictate to the Supreme Court or the legislative body. There are 3 branches of government that are of equal weight, equal power. There's no such thing in the United States government as one branch more powerful than the other. That is the genius of the Constitution and our founding fathers, which, by the way, one of my ancestors are one of the founding fathers. So the reality of the situation here is we have a media that's trying to spin that he's going to be a dictator. How can he be a dictator when you have balance of government? What they're saying, but not truthfully, is that there is a administrative state, there's a national security state that doesn't like his policies. And when he gets in office, he's going to clean house and get rid of some of these people, just like he did when he was elected for the 45th president of the United States. And the FBI didn't like that. The CIA didn't like that. The Justice Department didn't like that. The State Department didn't like it, because these departments are beholden to the executive branch. And so they spin it as, oh, you're going to be a dictator. No, what it really is that they're losing power because of they gained it over the years with this administrative state. And what Trump's coming in and saying, This administrative state's out of control. It needs to be truncated. It needs to be more efficient. It needs to be more cost effective. And there needs to be less concentrated power in these different departments in government, such as the DOJ and the State Department and the CIA, the FBI. This national security state, this ballooned administrative state, needs to be truncated so we save money and will be more efficient, more effective, and less concentration of kingdoms within these departments. That's what Trump represents. And so these people that are part of the administrative state will communicate to the mainstream media, and the mainstream media, these anchors don't. Their whole street cred is if they can get information first or in a very timely manner from individuals within the administrative state, either through leaks. What happened right after the first debate with Trump and Biden, all right, during this election cycle, the only debate that there was. Right after, CNN was saying, "Oh, I contacted my, contacts, and they're saying that there's, a major problem with the Biden candidacy, and all this stuff." That's their means of maintaining their spot in mainstream media, is through their contacts within the administrative state. Well, if those contacts get fired, if those contacts, it's been, released, let's just say it's been found through investigation that these contacts caused serious criminal activity in terms of election fraud, or in terms of, trying to circumvent a presidency's administrative goals, and they get fired or they get prosecuted, then they've lost their contact, and therefore they have lost their position in the mainstream media. All right. So there is a symbiotic relationship between the administrative state and the mainstream media. One, they're kind of a mouthpiece for the administrative state. The mainstream media is a mouthpiece for you to try to be programmed, have some sort of manufactured consensus of what the administrative state wants. All right. But there's also this idea that if the mainstream media doesn't promote what they're saying, then the administrative state has lost power. But if the administrative state isn't talking to these talking heads on mainstream media, these anchors with their contacts, the mainstream media talking heads lose their position. So there's a symbiotic relationship there, all right, on top of the Smith Modernization Act and all this stuff, all right, on top of certain companies won't advertise with a particular network if they feel that they're not promoting the whatever ideals that corporation or CEOs want. So if they're never Trumpers, do you think that they're going to be advertising on those networks that are promoting Trump? Of course not. So there's this complex relationship between industry, the administrative state, the national security state, and the mainstream media. And it's not so simple as the government's just saying, say this. It's much more complex than that. So there's more of a tug. And these, especially on CNN, many of them grew their career with the rise of Clinton, either Bill Clinton or Hillary Clinton. And do you think that she is pro-Trump? Of course not. She's a never-Trumper, right? So This is why it's really important to just step back and realize, independent on who Trump, independent on the Republican candidate for the 2024 election cycle, a former president that has a policy that's against a terrorist state, and there's a lot of domestic hate against the candidate, no matter who it is, and it's a former president running for the presidency, it should have a very high level of security bubble that is at par or slightly below the level of the presidency. It's a unique case, and this is the problem in the government. They're going to hide behind this unique case and just say he's just a former president. Now, it is true that they have increased security for Trump, but it's not at the level of the presidency. This should, at this point in time, we're so close to the election, and we have domestic and international issues going on. President Trump should have the same level of security as the president of the United States. The same. Not the former, not in between, not a little bit more, the same. Because there's an elevated risk here. And I think it was Don Jr. that basically said, how many lives does his father have? How many close calls can we have here before it becomes a catastrophe? We may see a catastrophe in October. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the end of this month, who knows? It's got to stop. So we, the people, make the decision, not the administrative state. Now, it seems to me, if you go back, it seems to me that there are many similarities. If you look at Oswald and the whole incident with JFK, and like I've said before, Trump is more aligned with his kind of aura of soul, more aligned with JFK than Ronald Reagan. Now, these things don't line up perfectly. There's a little bit of Ronald Reagan in Trump. He's the 80s and all that. But in terms of family dynasty that's being created for the Trumps, in terms of this against the administrative state, I think he's more, and assassination attempts. I'll say that I would say that Trump is more aligned with JFK. Okay, it's not perfect, but there seems to be there seems to be more of an alignment there. All right. JFK was more eloquent with his speech. Trump's not so eloquent. I did a video with John Hogue yesterday that's being published today. So take a look at that video. It's part 20 of my series with John Hogue. And he talks about how these echoes happen in history. And they're almost like, they're similar, but they're almost like a mirror image. They're different. In this case, let me give you an example. JFK, eloquent, Trump, not eloquent. All right. The issue is, potential world war. All right. Khrushchev, bombastic, banging his hand on the table and yelling and screaming and all that. Putin, a little bit more calm and strategic. All right. JFK, Democrat, Trump, Republican. So there's almost like an inverse switch, but similar events. So are we moving towards another Cuban Missile Crisis? We'll have to see. Maybe we are. But the point is that there's a similarity. There seems to, I've always thought that Trump was more aligned with JFK. All right. Now, it's even the same side of the head, where the shot was. It was, the right side of the head. So, so we have to just keep, that thought in mind that Trump is in a kind of a dangerous situation domestically and internationally, and that his security bubble should be a par with the president of the United States, because Trump may become the next president of the United States. Right. And just falling back on this idea that, well, he's just a former president. You know what? You need to take a look at all the other variables involved. And, hopefully we'll get to the election where it's the will of the people that make the decision. But then there's other improprieties that may be taking place in some counties throughout the country. We'll have to see. This is a very volatile situation. This is a very volatile election cycle. But we need to step back, and we have to respect the office of the presidency and the individuals that served in that office, currently or former. You may not like the president. I didn't like Carter as president. I thought he was a terrible president. I remember Carter very well. All right. I thought he was a terrible president, but I think he's a good human being, and he served his country in the military, and he served his country in politics, and eventually elevated to the presidency. That commands some respect. Same thing. If you hate Trump, you should at least respect the office of the presidency and the individuals that held that office. You don't have to like them, but you need to show respect. And I think the problem is that both sides of the aisle, the Republicans that vote Republican and the Democrats that vote Democrat, there's so much vitriol. They just hate the individual. The Democrats hate Bush. All right. The Republicans hate Obama. But we just need to step back, and the presidency, the office of the presidency, commands respect. It deserves respect. And so with the mainstream media, trying to say that Trump's going to be a dictator and blah, 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 there are provisions in our system. Our founding fathers were smart to have the system in place that dictatorship can't happen. So stop the rhetoric that he's going to be some dictator. What will happen is that the deadwood will get taken out. They're going to get pulled out. And maybe some people will actually be investigated with the nefarious things that were happening going all the way back to 2016 election. So with that said, please make sure you subscribe to all my channels. I have 7 channels. I have 4 on YouTube. I have Brighteon, Bitchute, and Rumble. Also, you can help support my work by donating. You can donate on my website. It's the-studio-reykjavik.com. The link is in the description of this video. You can also be a paid member to my Patreon channel. Higher tiered members on Patreon get additional access to some of my videos on pulmonology and immunology. So there's an added benefit to being a higher tier member on Patreon. But it's through your donations and membership on Patreon that allows me to do these videos for free. I have thousands of videos for free that explain geopolitics, that explains the military crisis that's going on around the world, uh, how to improve your health, and the tumultuous financial undulations that happen. And I try to explain how to navigate through these. All right. So it's through your donations and through your membership on Patreon that allows me to do these things for free. In addition, I have a store, an online store. It's the-studio-reykjavik.com, where you can buy ebooks. You can purchase my lecture series on immunology and pulmonology, and you can buy the health supplements that help to slow down aging, improve your longevity, improve your immune system. It's something that I do every day. And if you learn from what I do, you'll be able to improve your health. I want to do some videos. I want to play some videos about what happened yesterday and some of the new revealing information. So, we'll play this together, and I'll comment on it. But please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the health supplements that I have structural nano silver liquids. This one is a 35 parts per million. All right. What you do is you just take a teaspoon a day, swish it in your mouth, gargle, swallow. They'll neutralize pathogens and maintain that mucosal barrier. I also have it in a different brand, which is the Health Max 35 and also the Health Max 14. This is also 35 parts per million, and the Health Max 14 is 14 parts per million. So it's up to you which one to get. Use it the same way, teaspoon a day. If you're not feeling well, take a tablespoon or two a day, especially during the cold season. I have this applicator set that you can purchase. You just put the liquid in the spritzer, the dropper, or the nasal spray. You're going to need this during the cold season. It's a great way to carry it around in your bag instead of carrying a bottle with you. And structural nano silver gels. This is a dual purpose product. You can put it on your hands. It'll neutralize pathogens. It's way better than Perel. Perel is alcohol based and it will evaporate. This structural nano silver gel stays active for 5 hours or more on your skin. You can put it around your mouth, around your nose, around your eyes, around your ears, lightly coat your nostrils. That way you're neutralizing the pathogen. You can't do that with Perel. All right. So this is a very high quality product that neutralizes pathogens and also creates a barrier on your skin. All right. That's kind of important for Mpox. All right. You need barrier and you need things to neutralize pathogens. In addition, you can use this as a skincare where you can apply it on your skin and it'll help to heal your skin if it's irritated, especially with a cut, abrasion, or a minor burn. It will speed the healing process by a third. And you can apply it on your skin and exfoliate in the morning. And you'll notice that your skin's clearer and tighter, especially around your face. So it's a great way to use it as a skincare product too. So you should have a couple tubes of this in your household to get through the cold season. You're going to need it. Trust me. The cold season is going to be problematic this year. And, for skincare. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the silver gel. The reason why I keep on saying that the cold season is going to be problematic, people's immune systems are weakened. We have the worry of an outbreak of Mpox. Clade 2B is in the United States. Clade 1B is not prevalent in the United States. There may be one or two cases. I don't think that it's very prevalent at all. But if there is an outbreak of Clade 1B, it's going to be problematic because of the D14 protein that is expressed with that version, which is the current problem that's going on in Africa and in some other countries around the world, but it's mainly in Africa at this moment in time. In addition, there's an uptick in influenzas and there's an uptick with SARS-CoV-2. So it's important to boost up your immune system, neutralize pathogens, make sure that you're ready. another way to do that is to make sure that you purchase the lozenges. I have 2 types of lozenges in a 21 count. You can get it in Manuka honey or elderberry zinc. So get a couple bags of these. All right. Why? So the moment you start feeling that irritation during the cold season, take the lozenges or the drops, neutralize that pathogen, maintain that mucosal barrier, and reduce the chances of further infection. It's up to you though. If you catch it early, you'll be better off. I also have 3 different flavors in the drops. The drops are smaller. You get 100 in the bag, and I have it in cherry. I also have it in honey lemon and blueberry. So please go to the store, get a couple bags for your household where you're ready just in case someone in your household's getting sick. You want to catch it early. The moment you start feeling irritation, take the drops or the lozenges. All right. It has structural needle silver in it. It'll neutralize the pathogen and maintain that mucosal barrier. So let's go. I know my monologue was a little long, but let's start with the videos on Fox dealing with the Trump shooter.
Have been to this area. It's not like a normal golf course that you drive by in your daily travels and you can see the players playing from the road. The entire course is blocked by greenery if you're on a public road. So how did this guy know that he would have a line of sight to the president?
Because I believe he did surveillance. I believe he had somebody telling him or some way to find out what Trump's movement was. When you look at this map right here that you were just talking about, it is surrounded by roads that go right around it, and you step off the road onto the sidewalk and straight into the trees, and there's a fence right there. He picked a location and had time to set up.
I apologize. This reminds me of something that I wanted to say, but I forgot to say it. There's a similarity between the assassination attempt between Trump and the assassination of JFK. With JFK, many people have written about JFK's assassination. There was a file, a CIA file on Oswald, right? And Oswald, there were potentially multiple Oswalds, right? It was kind of an operation. All right, I forgot the name of the file, the CIA file, like file 201 or file 202 or something like that. I forgot the name of it. And basically, the theory is that he was he was an asset of the CIA, or he actually was an employee of the CIA. All right. And you had, what did Oswald do? He started passing out flyers about, overthrowing Castro and all this stuff, right? And there was also an assassination attempt on JFK in Chicago in September. All right. Now, with another group that was kind of tied to this whole Oswald project. All right. I don't even know if Oswald's name was really Oswald. I mean, the way this is crazy, right? I don't know. All right. But the point here is that there was at least multiple locations that were planned for the assassination of JFK. One was Chicago that was foiled by the police department. And those individuals were caught, and then if I'm not mistaken, they were released. All right. Everyone knows about what happened in Dallas, in November, right? There was also supposedly another incident that was supposed to take place in DC, if my memory serves me right from the audiobook that I was listening to a while back. But at least Chicago in September and November in Texas. All right. Well, what we have here, all right, you have two individuals that seem to have known some intimate information about the setting. So you had Butler in Pennsylvania, and then you have this whole incident in Florida that just happened that seemed to have scoped out the region, seemed to have some inside information at least. And individuals that were somewhat politically charged or internationally charged. So the individual that did the attempted assassination yesterday was very pro-Ukraine. And the Butler attempted assassin seemed to be kind of psychologically imbalanced and was very anti-Trump, but happened to be kind of a Republican. I think he waffled with that, but he was anti-Trump. So plus there was what was interesting about these individuals is like they almost like they look like they've lost. They look like they're lost, emotionally lost. Right now, maybe this is an MK Ultra kind of thing. That this is one of the side effects of MK Ultra. I don't know, but the point I'm making here is that I would not be surprised that within the national security state that they have cultivated individuals as assets to trigger them in a way and help them with information, with intelligence, maybe even weaponry, to conduct the act of assassination. I don't think this is a one-off. This is not a lone wolf. This is not a lone wolf. And what is interesting is now, if you listen to the old guys that worked at the CIA that retired and are writing books, right, about the history or about maybe spy novels or whatever, and when you listen to them talk about their experiences, you know, a lot of them will say the CIA didn't know what they were doing, right? They make lots of mistakes, right? And they're always backpedaling and always trying to cover up, and they're trying to, you know, building a gigantic house of cards. You talk to anyone that worked for the CIA when it came to operations and counter operations, that's a main theme that comes out. This is this house of cards over time. It starts to build up. So I wouldn't be surprised that there is this this interplay with these individuals that try to do the assassination and the CIA. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Now, what's scary is just that you have a group within. Not all people at CIA are bad, but you have this group that's inside that can be doing these kinds of things domestically and internationally. We know that they do it internationally. They admit to it that they do it internationally to overthrow governments, you know, and do assassination attempts and all this, and work with assets within the area to overthrow governments and stuff. But they're doing it also domestically, right? And what the rule was, at least during the JFK days, is that military, right, or paramilitary operations were outside the country, and the mafia did domestic. All right. I don't know if that's the case today, but there's this two incidences with Trump in different cities. And so when I was talking about the house of cards and stuff, so you have a young person that didn't work in Butler. Now you have an older person, right, in a different location. So you had this younger person that's just anti-Trump, and you have this older person that's very pro-Ukraine. It just feels so JFK-ish and so Oswald-ish. You know what I mean? It just feels it. Now, maybe I'm not phrasing it very properly or eloquently, but it just feels something's not right. And I would not be surprised that the national security apparatus, that's the core that hates Trump, that does their own thing, they're rogue, that there's a rogue element within the national security state, is going after Trump. I don't believe these are one-offs. I don't believe they're lone wolves. Not at all. Not at all. How did the guy get an AK-47? And why was he so pro Ukraine? It just feels like a CIA asset that may have been cultivated in some sort of program. I can't prove it, but I'm just saying it just feels like it. So with what this guy was saying, just kind of triggered that thought. I wanted to mention it before we go on. So let me just rewind a little bit and then let him talk. But it just feels a little JFK-ish and Oswald-ish.
He had somebody telling him or some way to find out what Trump's movement was. When you look at this map right here that you were just talking about, it is surrounded by roads that go right around it, and you step off the road onto the sidewalk and straight into the trees, and there's a fence right there. He picked a location, had time to set up, tie up, and fix ballistic plates to the fence along with a supply bag, a GoPro, and set himself up for the shot. That takes, I mean, if he just ran up there and did it, it would take at least 5 minutes to do that. But he also staged his vehicle so he could get away. So all that occurred in the perimeter in a location where Trump was going to be. And just like in Pennsylvania, it was not discovered. The perimeter was not secured. And this individual was able to go simply just get out of his car and walk over there. Now, whether or not he staged it earlier, we don't know. But the reality is he was able to set up a shooter's hide and prepare himself for the shot and let the president get within max effective range of that SKS, which is a Russian AK-47. And he could have, if that Secret Service had not had seen him and the president got a little bit closer, he could have taken the president out yesterday.
Yeah, Jonathan, how do you feel about, what are your thoughts on the suspected gunman? He even spoke to the New York Times recently, and apparently he was on this personal mission to form an army of his own to defend Ukraine, and he even traveled to Kyiv to do just that. And the Washington Post is also reporting that he wrote a book last year, and he alluded to the fact that he supported Donald Trump in one of the elections, but regrets it. And there's even one line in this apparent book. He says, "You are free to assassinate Trump as well as me for that error in judgment." So what are your thoughts on the potential political motivation here behind all of this?
You know, I think the left, and I say this with all sincerity, I believe the left is a national security threat to this country. I mean, and you look at everything that they do, whether it is destroying the children's minds in the education system with this gender grooming, whether it's killing the southern border and allowing whoever wants to come over and get handouts from the government, propping up and promoting violence against conservatives. Let's just look in the past few years. The congressional baseball game where Scalise was shot. That individual was a leftist, Bernie Sanders supporter, shot a congressman with the same type of rifle, an SKS. I find that strange. You have,
and you know, the thing is, the mainstream media, again, what I said, they're more aligned with the national security state. All right. The mainstream media spins it as the Republicans are the ones out of control. It's not the Republicans that are out of control. It's not the ones that are voting for Trump that are out of control. It's the Democrats. It's the BLM movement. It's the pro-Hamas movement. It's the anti-American movement that's happening. And again, you know, even though burning the flag is protected by the First Amendment, burning the American flag is just wrong. Just wrong. You know, especially if you know, are a service member, you know, and you protected that flag. You protected the country. You served that flag. You served the country. That when someone burns the flag, you're disrespecting all service members, present, future, and past. It's just wrong. But the Democratic Party will just promote it. That's just like, oh, it's okay. Let's change the flag too. Let's change the national anthem. Let's just write never-ending checks for reparations. I'm telling you, the Democratic Party's out of control. It's out of control.
The shooter in Pennsylvania, we don't know what his politics were because we haven't found anything from the FBI, that we haven't been told anything. He was able to use an AR-15 and get within 130 yards of the president, former president. And then we have this individual using the same type of gun as the individual who shot up the congressional baseball game, gets within 400 yards. So, and all of these individuals, as far as we can tell, at least two of them are far left individuals. Many of the school shooters that have killed numerous children in schools have been transgender, which means they've been confused by the left's grooming policies in schools. There is a major issue here that everybody is missing because they're trying to be politically correct, and that is the fact that the left is a national security threat, that these types of actions that are being taken are not just being taken because this guy doesn't like Trump. It's the basis in which he doesn't like Trump, because Trump didn't support some of his ideals, which are leftist ideals. And that seems to be a reoccurring issue, along with, from an investigative standpoint, these perimeters that are never secured. And it's local law enforcement's fault, and it's also the Secret Service's fault. But these individuals are being allowed to get within max effective range of the weapons that they choose. And that alone is suspicious to me, and it is unbelievable that that can happen to Trump, who's already been shot once, let alone anybody else that the Secret Service is protecting. It's just something needs to change when it comes to securing the perimeters, or else my suspicion is going to continue to go sky high, which it is right now.
And Jonathan, my main concern going forward, one of them, I'm pretty worried that a foreign actor along the lines of what you were saying is going to see how close these two presumably lone individuals got to the president of the United States and say, hey, if we flood the zone with 2, 3, or 4 foreign actors, they could succeed in the mission to take him out. And that is a chilling and terrifying thought, John.
Yeah, so thank God the Secret Service.
Another 9/11 kind of event could happen, but it may not be with buildings or planes. Maybe the actual assassination of Trump. I'm telling you, the deep state is scary, and it needs to be truncated. It needs to be investigated. We need to root out these people that are rogue. And the sad thing is, half of the American public isn't paying attention to the real issue, and you have mainstream media that's complicit.
Jonathan, really quickly, we got to wrap it up here, but go ahead. Final thought to you.
Yeah, just one thing. If enough people who support Trump and support freedom in this country, they could have gone out and surrounded that golf course themselves. We could do that, either being hired to do that or just going out and saying, you know what, we're going to get a group of people together and we're going to walk around where he's at on the outside perimeter. And you would have done a better job because you would have probably spotted this person. I can't understand why law enforcement isn't doing this. And if Trump wants to hire myself or other people like me, I'm not just saying that to get a plug, right, but there's people out there that can just do perimeter security, and we would stop all of these issues.
Yeah, well, thank God that Secret Service agent on the advance team spotted the gun poking out of that chain link fence. But you are right. The question remains how it even got to that point is a terrifying prospect. Jonathan Gillian, thank you.
What would have happened if that Secret Service agent didn't see him? Which is a possibility, but let's just say he didn't see him, and Trump was shot, maybe killed, wounded. It's getting too close. It needs a better security bubble, and we really need to go after the deep state. The deep state is causing this issue. It's not lone wolf. It's not lone wolf.
I have a history of hypertension, diabetes. I learned I was high risk.
At New York Presbyterian, we help patients face pregnancy with hope instead of fear.
The former president has responded to the shooting, writing, "There were gunshots in my vicinity, but before rumors start spiraling out of control, I wanted you to hear this first. I am safe and well. Nothing will slow me down. I will never surrender." Joining us now is Mark Levin, host of Life, Liberty, and Levin, and former Chief of Staff to Attorney General Edwin Meese in the Reagan administration. Thank you for coming on this evening.
Before we go to Levin, because I'm sure he'll be animated, and this is a show that's about animation, right? Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and please get the structural nano silver toothpaste. This is a very high quality toothpaste. It has no aluminum in it. It has no fluoride in it. It has, you know, it's a high quality toothpaste. All right. It will neutralize pathogens, whiten your teeth, freshen your breath, maintain that good oral hygiene, but also maintain the gum line. People will realize as you get older, your gum line starts to recede, especially if you have not so good oral hygiene. But you can improve that gum line by using this toothpaste. All right. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get this structural nano silver toothpaste. It's a high quality toothpaste. There's no fluoride in it. So please go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. In addition, it's important, especially during the cold season, to get the vitamin C and magnesium. This will help to boost up your immune system. If you're not feeling well, take a double dose. Drink it with filtered water. Filtering your water is really important to maintain your health and reduce those chemicals that are coming from faucet water. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the vitamin C with the magnesium. Boost up your immune system. Vitamin D3, very important. It helps to get rid of infected cells by activating apoptosis. It's a gene expression cofactor. So that means that if you're low on D3, your expressions of genes aren't going to be as prevalent. So it's important to take vitamin D3. And it helps to absorb calcium. So please go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Take vitamin D3, especially during the cold season. You're going to need it. Infected cells help to go into apoptosis by taking vitamin D3. Vitamin D3 is a gene expression cofactor. You need it.
Getting your insights on what has been a truly remarkable day.
Well, let's start this way. Thank you. Who's in charge? Who's in charge? We don't have any idea who's in charge. Who's in charge of protecting a presidential candidate in this country? Well, we can talk about the Secret Service, the FBI, DHS. I listen to all your great hosts with their tremendous experience. And it is fascinating to me. You know, I'm a little older. I served in the Reagan administration. I was Chief of Staff to Attorney General Meese. And let me tell you what would have happened in that administration. Ronald Reagan would have picked up the phone. He would have called Attorney General Meese. He would have said, "You're in charge of getting to the bottom of this, and you got 48 hours to do it." Meese, who I worked next to, he would have called the Treasury Secretary. He would have called every department that has any role in federal law enforcement. FBI reports to him. He would have dragged Christopher Wray up there. He would have brought in the U.S. Marshals. He would have brought them all in. Secret Service, Secretary of DHS. We would have been in the situation with the United States Department of Justice. And Ed Meester said to all those gathered, you better GE get to the bottom of this, and you have 48 hours to report to me, and I want to know how you're going to fix this. And I want to know right away how you're going to fix this. Twice on our watch? Never. Instead, we have very wise people who worked at the FBI, worked at the Secret Service, who worked in local law enforcement. Where's the Secret Service? Where's the FBI? Nobody is in charge because we have a president of the United States who's mentally incapacitated. We have a vice president of the United States who's an incompetent, way over her head. We have an attorney general of the United States who just held a press event the other day about violence, and he's what? In the witness protection program, the top 3 people in charge of law enforcement in the United States of America. 2 of them tweeted, 1 of them did nothing. Now, this isn't about tweeting. Oh, I'm so glad that President Trump is well. Well, isn't that nice? The executive branch is run by the President of the United States. Number 2, the Vice President of the United States. Federal law enforcement, ultimately, the Attorney General of the United States. And they're all AWOL. They're nowhere. So it's perfectly fine if we keep banging heads about the head of the Secret Service, the head of the FBI.
That's either because of incompetence or they're hiding. They're hiding something about potentially their involvement.
These are bureaucrats mostly. Mayorkas, we know what he is. He's a complete incompetent buffoon. But where the hell is the president, the vice president who wants to be president, and the attorney general, who has done absolutely nothing to get his hands around this? Now, I'm telling you this, as somebody who served at the highest level of the Department of Justice, that justice wouldn't sit back and wait for a local special agent in charge in Miami to take over. They'd be sending guys in there from Washington, D.C. And Nice would have wanted to report every hour on the damn hour. And he'd want to know what we're going to do to fix this. And I can also tell you that the first time around, this would have happened had Ed Meese been the Attorney General Reagan to the President of the United States. So this is all evidence to me when I listen to everybody, and they're all fantastic. But it's all evidence to me of Keystone Cops. Who's in charge of what? Well, it depends. This one should have done that. This should have been. No, you need a general who's in charge and says, I want to know who the hell screwed up. I want to know what the hell we're going to do to fix this next time, what resources we need. And I don't want to hear again that the Secret Service doesn't have resources. We're $5 trillion in debt with this administration. Maybe a little bit of that climate change money or money going to illegal aliens. Maybe that money could have been moved into the Secret Service. I have no idea. But we have no time to figure all that out. We have 50 days until the presidential election. Let me ask you a question. Does Joe Biden seem that concerned tonight? Where is he? Does Kamala Harris seem that concerned tonight? Well, she tweeted. Isn't that nice? I tweeted too. So what? The Attorney General of the United States, does he seem that concerned tonight? No. They just don't give a you-know-what, and they won't take charge of this. So the executive branch is running adrift. That is what's happening. Every part of it, including the best parts of it, the federal law enforcement parts of it, they're now running adrift. I speak as a former person who served at the highest level of the Department of Justice.
So, Mark, Charlie Hurt here. Obviously, you're exactly right about President Biden being completely MIA and has been for a long time in the presidency. But we're sort of back at this. After the Butler, Pennsylvania shooting, there was all of this professed unity where President Biden and others talked about how they were going to lower the rhetoric. But now we're back to where you have Democrats issuing tweets saying that they're glad that the guy they called last week Hitler survived another assassination attempt.
Mm-hmm.
It strikes me that maybe they didn't really mean it when they said it 6 weeks ago.
Of course they don't mean. If you watch MSNBC for about 15 minutes, the hate and the drivel and the contempt that pours out of their pores from Joy Reid and don't get me started with a long list. CNN, so contemptible. Every time they mention Trump's name, they have this constipated look on their face, like it's unbearable. the way that you have prosecutors talk about Donald Trump, elected prosecutors and a Garland-appointed prosecutor, the things that they say in the briefs are so horrendous. What some of these judges have to say, the Democrat Party controls the culture, they control the media, they control the propaganda, they now control many of the court systems, and that's exactly what you're seeing. You're seeing a one-party monopolistic system. And people have written about this long before me, who've gone through these various regimes, totalitarian regimes, their use of words, creating devil terms and angel terms. You know, Trump's always the devil, Kamala Harris is the angel. And you can see this endless propaganda and contempt. And by the way, they hate you and me too. They made it abundantly clear they hate at least half the country. So of course this contributes to the nut jobs out there and so forth. But still, I don't know how much we can do to fix that. I do know we can do something to fix the executive branch. And we got to put these people out as fast as possible, take these agencies back. We need to fumigate them. We need to get people in there who are serious public servants and civil servants. We need to put competent people in senior positions. We need to take the FBI back. We need to take all the federal agencies, and particularly the police agencies, back. We need to take the Department of Justice back. And we can do that in the next election, because right now they're completely and utterly either out of control or rudderless.
Mark, it's Joe Concha. I'm going to read a quote from Lester Holt, who was reporting on this assassination attempt. Again, the second in 64 days. Here's what he said tonight on the NBC Nightly News, and you're going to get a real kick out of this. Quote, today's apparent assassination attempt comes amid increasingly fierce rhetoric on the campaign trail. Mr. Trump, his running mate J.D. Vance, continue to make baseless claims about Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, resulting in bomb threats. So in other words, it's Trump's fault that somebody tried to shoot him today because of something that was said about Springfield, Ohio, which has had an influx of thousands upon thousands of Haitian immigrants to their town. And because Trump brings that up and because J.D. Vance brings that up, therefore, that's what's leading this. I'll let you go from here because I can't believe what I just saw right now on the NBC Nightly News.
Sickening. Absolutely sickening. No, actually, I thought it was all the Democrats and their anti-Semitism. I thought it was all the Democrats who are anti-Israel. I thought it was all the Democrats hunting down Jews on universities and college campuses. I thought they were the problem. I thought it was all the illegal immigrants raping, murdering, selling into slavery, women and children. Maybe Lester Holt has a difficulty digesting facts around it. This guy is not a Haitian. In fact, the more I'm reading is, I'm getting information he may have been an anti-Semite. I don't know what he is. Look at the facts. But Lester Holt doesn't have any facts, does he? And you know what? If you tried to do a Google search of the number of times Donald Trump is called Hitler, I think your computer would melt down. I think your computer would melt down. To dumb down what Hitler is in order to try and turn, look, let's be honest. They've been trying to turn Trump into a non-human. And that's what they've been trying to do.
There's two issues with this. The demonization of Trump, creating a seed with people that are unstable, right? Where these kinds of incidences can happen. But I'll tell you, there's a level of sophistication that if they were a little bit off mentally, I am surprised that they would be able to to orchestrate this activity, do this operation. So you have an environment that is creating emotionally charged individuals. But then you also have a deep state that hates him too, that wants him gone. And, they're probably pushing some people's buttons and maybe coaching them in a certain way or corralling them in a certain way. How much involvement of the deep state, I don't know. But there was a level of sophistication with this that seems as though this was meditated and perhaps even coordinated. So we need to tone down the rhetoric, like I said in the monologue. If we don't tone down the rhetoric, if we don't respect the electoral process of we the people, and stay vigilant and make sure that our votes are counted correctly. That and our future of the country isn't dictated by some sort of rogue cabal in the national security state. You know, that's the goal. That the goal for the American citizen is to have efficient and correct and certified and verified elections, so we the people can decide. Not a cabal, not the national security state, not a group of people that just hate an individual. But I'll tell you, I mean, he's like a cat. I mean, how many lives does he have left? I don't know. He's awfully lucky. Now, if you step back and look at this at a metaphysical level, like I said, there's this battle. According to the Kabbalists, heads of countries, they have an additional. They have a special soul. Their soul is of a nation, right? Nations can have souls, but leaders of nations have souls, as a soul. Not only just a person, but when they become a leader, they get a residualness on their soul to be that leader. So these roots, these leader souls, all right, between Kamala and Trump are battling in one of the levels of heaven, all right? And probably it's absolutes, but one of the levels of heaven, all right? There's different levels. They're battling each other. And depending on what happens in the metaphysical, in this domain, this heavenly domain, will manifest itself down here. Now, people would say, what's the will of the people? The will of the people still have to go through the act, but there's a battle that's taking place, and whatever wins in the metaphysical is how it's going to manifest in our reality, even though we have to do things. So the question is, do you have really free will? And that's a very long topic. We have the perception of free will. We have to move to do something. Can't just sit there and just say it's just going to happen, right? But there is a series of things that happen in the metaphysical that helps the events to take place on this domain. All right. So in a way, we don't have really free will. But that's a long topic. Is there such a thing as free will or not? Right. And this is not the place for that kind of discussion. But on a metaphysical plane, Harris's soul, leadership soul, and Trump's leadership soul are battling for the soul of the nation. And it's interesting when you hear some of these candidates, they'll say this is an election for the soul of the nation. So something deep in their memory is trying to articulate what I'm saying about the metaphysical battle that's taking place, and probably absolutes. Crazy.
Beginning, they're dehumanizing him. And they've been doing this. I've written about this in 2 books. The way they treat him, the way they talk about him, their facial actions, and so forth and so on. And that debate with Kamala Harris is more of the same. The facial pics, you're a disgrace, totally non-substantive, he's a threat. You said you were burned down. I mean, just simple things. Charlottesville, all these lies, trying to create a caricature. They want to run against the caricature. They want to create a caricature. Unfortunately, the culture is very sick, in large measure due to the media. But I don't want to miss the fact that the problem that's going on in federal law enforcement today is that the top. It's at the very, very top with the president, with Harris, with Merrick Garland. Those are the three who are responsible for what takes place. They are in charge, not anybody else. And that's why everybody's running around like Keystone Cops who's in charge of what.
Mark, it's Alicia Acuna, and thank you so much for being here. You know, as you know, the acting U.S. Secret Service Director, Ronald Routh, gave an update to senators on Thursday on the internal investigation from the July 13th assassination attempt. And Senator Blumenthal told Fox folks are going to be shocked, appalled, and astonished. I would argue they already are. How are Americans supposed to absorb the findings of that internal investigation as we are now going to be learning so much more about this latest assassination attempt? It just seems so much for the American people.
You know, we're grown-ups here. We really have a way to deal with this. You know, most regimes, we do not. One day we may not hear, but we do right now. The same people who destroyed our economy and destroyed our border. We're destroying law enforcement, destroying our military. The same people who are destroying our alliances are destroying our FBI and our Secret Service and our Department of Justice and our Department of Homeland Security. I mean, they're good at one thing, they're consistent. And so if you want to fix it, our Constitution gives you an option. The option is to kick their asses out of office and bring in people who are serious. We didn't have this sort of thing 4 years ago. Now, in any of these areas that I talked about, and we have it now, but it's completely out of control. And the only way to deal with it right now, we have 50 days, is in 50 days. And we need to deal with it. You know, it's one thing for we as citizens to whine about this stuff, but I want people to remember about Thomas Paine. I want them to remember about Paul Revere. People say, well, what can I do? You know, I'm a janitor, I'm an electrician. You can do a hell of a lot. You are the Paul Reveres and you are the Thomas Paines. You need to talk to 10 people. You need to talk to 15 people. You need to make sure, you know, vote early. You get people vote early. We can't rely on political parties to get out the vote. We have to get out the vote. It's now. We have 50 days to try and fix this right now.
Well, Mark,
feeling Claritin Clear is like
While we begin this final hour of clock.
Let me do a commercial here before we do the updates from Fox on this. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the resveratrol. Resveratrol is something I take every day. It is synergistic with C60. It's an antioxidant. It also helps to get rid of senescent cells. So it's part of this whole anti-aging stacking protocol that I do. By improving your cellular health, by improving your mitochondrial health, by getting rid of senescent cells, by reducing cellular damage, by improving the repair mechanism of DNA, you are going to boost up your immune system and you're going to slow down the aging process. Now, a way to get rid of those senescent cells and improve that mitochondrial health is to take resveratrol. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. It works better when you stack it with C60, with NAD+, with ubiquinol. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. I partnered up with Rainbow Herbals, and we have created these deodorant bars. You can get the deodorant bar in peppermint, lavender, and tea tree, and citrus. These deodorants are made from essential oils from the Himalayas. It has no aluminum in it. It has no baking soda in it. It's a very high quality deodorant. And it also helps to detoxify your body. That's going to be important because the food that you eat, the processed foods, the water, they have chemicals in it. They're spraying the air with chemtrails. All right. So there's and pesticides on your food and all this stuff. That affects your endocrine system. All right. And it affects your immune system. So it's important to detoxify your body and use natural ingredients to help to have your body heal from this toxic environment that we call modern society. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. The link is in the description of this video, all right, and all my videos. So go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. www.drpaulcottrell.com and get the peppermint lavender tea tree deodorant or the citrus version. Very high quality deodorants that help to detoxify your body. Very important.
Friends, with that news alert, Acting Secret Service Director Routh will meet with law enforcement and members of the Secret Service in West Palm Beach today after former President Trump was targeted in a second assassination attempt while playing golf on his course in Mar-a-Lago, Florida yesterday. That according to a Secret Service official. The suspect is now apparently in custody after fleeing the scene where he left behind an AK-47 style rifle, a GoPro camera, and two what appear to be backpacks or bags. The local sheriff's office says the suspect was between 300 and 500 yards from the former president. And we're learning more about his prior run-ins with police and some of the things he said online, which were political.
Yep, we have live team coverage this morning. We have Brooke Singman has the suspect's wild past and run-ins with law enforcement. But first, let's go to Dana Marie Nickel, who joins us outside of Trump International Golf Club to walk us through exactly what happened. Good morning, Dana Marie.
Good morning, guys. This is still a very active investigation. Crime scene still remains around the perimeter of the golf course. Many of those roads still closed to the public. Now, we're about 12 to 15 minutes from...
I have to interrupt. So the market's trading right now. So the S&P 500 is trading at 5,612. And if you've been following what I've been saying on some of the videos where I talk about the resistance points and the support levels of the S&P 500, the market is trading exactly like how I've been telling you how it would trade. Now, if you were listening to Alex Jones when there was that recent sell-off, he kept on saying, "Oh, you know, this is the big market event that's going to be a big sell-off. You know, it's going to keep on going down." And I said no, because the support levels are holding. And I gave you 3 support levels. So go to that video and take a listen to it. All right. Once again, Dr. Paul Cottrell is proven right. Dr. Paul Cottrell was proven right on what's going on with the crisis of 2020, the aftershock of it, how it affects your immune system, how to use supplements to boost up your immune system and to mitigate the problem, how to slow down the aging process. I'm living proof. I am older than Alex Jones, and I look way younger than Alex Jones, and I am much more fit than Alex Jones. All right, I'm more fit than Alex Jones ever was. Even in his top peak fitness, I was more fit than he was. All right, I've slowed down the aging process. All right, and I am so much more accurate on finance. His answer is, "Oh, market's going down, buy gold." What I said was the market's going to go up. And what did it do? It went up. It's almost at an all-time high. So once again, Alex Jones is wrong. Now, I'm not saying that Alex Jones is always wrong, but his best days are over. His best days are over. His best days were, you know, during the whole 9/11 thing. But he's passé now. He's passé physically, and he's passé. He can't even explain in detail what's really going on in the market, in the financial markets. He's constantly getting it wrong, constantly. If you want to understand what's going on geopolitically, how to navigate financially through it, and how to improve your health, especially through the crazy pathogenic issues that seem to arise, listen to me. Not Alex Jones, not Robert Malone, not Dr. McCall, not Dr. Mikovits. Just pay attention to what I have to say, because I am extremely fucking accurate.
Lago, where former President Donald Trump lives, and we know golf is something that he loves to do on Sunday. We heard from him on social media praising Secret Service and local law enforcement for keeping him safe, speaking out about this. Now, another important aspect of this is the map. So you can see how close these golf course holes are to the public street here in West Palm Beach. Palm Beach County Sheriff said Ryan Routh was only about 300 to 500 yards away from the former president, hidden in shrubbery with a gun while he played.
Let's assume, all right, let's assume he is a lone wolf, which I don't think he was, but let's just say he was a lone wolf. He would have had to stake out in that area for a long time because he didn't know when Trump was going to go to that golf course. So he must have been out there for days. What's the probability that he would just show up? Because it wasn't telegraphed that he was going to that club. Now his entourage, as it's going through the city, you know, and to the club, maybe he caught that and he followed it, right? But he would have had to been waiting. All right. And so he goes on Google Maps and he stakes out the scene and goes, well, where's the best way to put something? Well, if you look, the best way to put something is actually on this street right here, right? Between hole 5 and hole 6, or maybe between, you know, on the other side. I don't know if this is if the way this map is oriented, but I'll just call it I'm assuming this is east and this is west, but on this side, the west side, there's some there's a tree line here, so it'd be easier to hide as they were playing this hole, but I don't know what hole number that is, you know, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe 13th hole, 14th hole, something like that. But in terms of shrubbery, it's the thinnest on this side. So strategically, that's probably the best spot, right? So it's showing that there was premeditation, right? That he planned this. But the thing is, he doesn't live in it. My understanding is he doesn't live in the area. My understanding is he lives in Maui. But I could be wrong on this, but or maybe, you know, maybe he lives in, you know, a different state, but he doesn't live in the area. It's my understanding. So what was the support? Was he staying in a hotel? Was he staying with a friend? Did he move? I mean, what's the support level? You know, the financial support level. That's the reason why I keep on saying that this was not a lone wolf kind of situation. There's some sort of inside information going on. Now with the Butler incident, you know, they knew that there was going to be an event there. It could have been, you know, staked out and planned and all that, but with everything else, all these other investigations about the shooter at Butler, that looks like that maybe there was an inside job too, you know. So there was definitely premeditation. Definitely. The question is was there support? It looks like there probably was support for this guy. So let me plug. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the turmeric and the ashwagandha root. Ashwagandha root will help to control your blood glucose levels and bring down inflammation. Turmeric will also help bring down inflammation, and it's a great antioxidant, so it's dual purpose. When you take these together, they're synergistic. They'll bring down that inflammatory response and maintain your blood glucose levels. So this helps by bringing down that inflammatory response. You're helping with your immune system. You're allowing your immune system to heal and to be more robust. If you're chronically inflamed, your immune system is not going to work as well. So it's really important to take turmeric and ashwagandha together. In addition, when you do this on a regular basis, you'll also notice that not only are your immune system, not only is your immune system improving, but you're also slowing down your aging process because you brought down that chronic inflammation. Because chronic inflammation, because of the high cortisol levels, are going to speed up aging. And by taking ashwagandha root, you're also controlling that cortisol level.
Through the golf course, so our agents will get there first, clear it. He noticed that the rifle was pointed out, our agents engaged. We are not sure right now if the individual was able to take a shot at our agents, but for sure our agents were able to engage with the subject.
FBI and local law enforcement are posted at a mobile command center outside hole 5 and 6. Right now, they're processing evidence, including the rifle found on the scene. Now, in the bushes, this is where they found AK-47 style rifle.
In the bushes where this guy was is an AK-47 style rifle with a scope, 2 backpacks which were hung on the fence that had ceramic tile in them, and a GoPro, which he was going to take pictures of. So those are being processed right now.
Now, a witness has been a huge help to police in this investigation, who saw 58-year-old Ryan Routh run from the golf course bushes and jump into a black Nissan. The witness gave the plate number to police, who eventually pulled over that suspect on I-95 in Martin County. Vice President Kamala Harris said in a statement yesterday that she is deeply disturbed and will condemn political violence, adding, "We must all do our part to ensure this incident does not lead to any more violence." President Joe Biden commended the Secret Service and their law enforcement partners for keeping the former president safe. Now, as we heard, the acting Secret Service director will be here on the ground in West Palm Beach to do a walkthrough of the site, meet with local law enforcement officers and Secret Service. We're also waiting to hear more details on when that suspect will be in court. I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Dana Marie, thank you very much.
Okay, Brooke Singman joins us now with more details about the suspect's past, including run-ins with police. Brooke?
Yeah, guys, and he had a few. So former President Trump is safe following this second assassination attempt at Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach yesterday. Fox News obtaining this photo showing Ryan Wesley Routh, the suspected gunman, moments after his arrest. A Florida sheriff who was on the scene spoke about the suspect's demeanor when he was taken into custody. Listen.
I was at the scene, and he had a very, very kind of detached, flat facial affect. Like, it wasn't bothering him. Blue lights everywhere, helicopter overhead. He never said anything
that flatness look that he's talking about, that seems as though that's like the MK Ultra kind of asset. Who knows? But it's just strange.
Why did I get stopped?
The FBI is now taking the lead on the investigation into the scene and the suspect, who we are learning more about. So he is originally from North Carolina, and he moved to Hawaii in 2017. He does have prior arrests for drug possession, driving without a license, expired inspection, and operating a vehicle without insurance. And guys, back in 2002, he barricaded himself in his roofing company's office during a 3-hour standoff with police after a traffic stop. Routh's son telling the Daily Mail, quote, "He is not a violent person. He's a hard worker, a great dad. He's a great dude, a nice guy." Meanwhile, we are learning the suspect was interviewed by the New York Times back in 2023 when he volunteered to help Ukraine in the war with Russia. That article saying, quote, "Ryan Routh, a former construction worker from Greensboro, North Carolina, is seeking recruits from among Afghan soldiers who fled the Taliban." As of this morning, the suspect remains in custody as we are learning new details. Guys.
Yeah, I think he's been arrested at least 8 times. But he's a nice guy, all right, bro?
Right.
Anytime you're holed up in a house in your background and that's in your resume, it's unbelievable. And on top of that, he says he's an unemployed, low-income housing builder from Hawaii. Who isn't?
NBC uncovered over 100 criminal counts cases filed against him in North Carolina. So there's a lot going on. It's interesting. We were just talking to the state attorney, David Ehrenberg, down in Palm Beach County. The feds have taken over the case. But in asking what sort of charges he might be facing, attempted assassination, he said it would be hard to do that because the guy did not actually point the gun at Donald Trump because Donald Trump was not visible. Of course, keep in mind the attempt, the gunman, the guy with the gun, who did not shoot it, he didn't shoot it, but he aimed at the agent and the agent then returned fire. The one thing I want to know, and can we put up the graphic that shows the golf course? Where was the guy's car that he hopped in, the black Nissan? According to what we've heard, it was between the guy with the gun was between hole 4 and 5. And that little street right there between 4 and 5 that runs east to west is Summit. So if I had to guess, his car was probably parked there. And it was probably a passerby who saw a guy running, hopped in the car, and this passerby, this Good Samaritan, took a picture of the car with the license plate, gave it to the cops, and that's how we found the guy.
So that's interesting. When you look at that map, if he was standing between hole 4 and 5, Donald Trump was on hole 5. He was on the green. And so he would have been on the opposite end to the far right of the screen. So if this guy between 4 and 5,
that's not right.
he fired off
The
shots.
sheriff, no. The sheriff said that the Secret Service agents were ahead of Trump. So that means that the Secret Service was one hole ahead of Trump, not behind, one hole ahead. All right. And they noticed the person. Now, my understanding was Trump was on hole 5. So that would mean that the Secret Service forward team was on hole 6. And that's why I thought he was on this side. So I'm not sure if Fox is right about this, it's hole 4 or 5, or if it's hole 5 and 6. So whoever's listening to this, put in the chat, is it hole 5 and 6 where the shooter was, or was it between hole 4 and 5? Because my understanding was Trump was on hole 5 and that the forward team, Secret Service, was on hole 6. And that's important because it's on this street, or is it on this street? Now that street, there's, that street, it's close, there could be, it's close, but that would mean that he would have been even closer to Trump. So I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I thought it was between hole 5 and 6, not hole 4 and 5.
500 yards away, the police say.
Well, he didn't fire.
Oh, there were 4. They heard 4 popping noises.
Yeah, they don't know. Secret Service. Well, do we know for sure he didn't get him shot off? It sounded like from the state attorney, he did not fire his gun.
So we think that was Secret Service. When they saw the AR through the fence, then they fired those 4 shots.
Yeah, that's what we know at this time. I'll add another thing. So they keep on talking about, well, they should get more Secret Service, and why haven't they adjusted? They have adjusted. So Mike Waltz was briefed on Thursday because he's with the Assassination 1 task force. And they said, President Biden put presidential level Secret Service force around Harris and Trump. But yet when we listened to the press conference yesterday from the sheriff, he said, it's not like he is the president. This is not the level he would have if he's president. So when President Biden makes the decision, they're having a problem with execution, because if he made that decision, then they're not listening to him, which is more of a problem, which goes right back to Mayorkas.
Well, remember, RFK Jr. also complained about not having Secret Service protection, and he was given more protection after that. We thought things had changed after the first assassination attempt. We need to know, has it changed?
Right.
Does he need more protection? Because he was president at one point and he's running for president. And this could be catastrophic if someone were successful.
If I had to guess, I bet, and I don't know this, and we're going to hear from the Secret Service guys today, if I had to guess, this is probably the level of security he had when he was president at that particular club, because you don't really, it's impossible to have a cop everywhere outside. And I didn't realize until yesterday that there's not a solid wall like cinder block, but instead it's a chain link fence. Just
That might be
anybody.
changing.
Yeah, no kidding.
Our first guest today said that
you go right through it.
Our first guest today said if he was president, there would have been security on the outside. Meanwhile, Speaker Mike Johnson joined us an hour ago. He met with the president 3 hours after the incident. Listen to what he said. The president's response was in his demeanor.
We arrived there about the time that President Trump did. We spent about 3 hours with him. He was in very good spirits, as you might expect. That's who he is. He's so resilient. No leader in the history of America that has been so attacked and has remained so strong and so resilient. He's one of a kind. He is not going to stop fighting for the American people. I got a briefing from the acting director of the Secret Service, Ron Rowe, within 90 minutes of the event. I was actually sitting with President Trump when he called. We listened to that in detail. And what I understand happened is that those agents that were with him yesterday saw that barrel of that gun between the bushes on a golf course. I mean, that's a difficult thing to spot. Thankfully they did. But unlike in Butler, they did not pause. They immediately pulled their weapons and fired. I think that's why this guy, the suspect, the shooter, threw the gun in the bushes and ran. Had they not been there, had they not acted so quickly and so decisively, we might be having a different conversation today.
The one thing about the president, you notice, he does best under pressure. And you saw with the first shooting, second shooting, when things go going crazy around him, that's when he's calmest. If you think about it, maybe the Truth Social or the tweets that he wanted back were when things are quiet. Like in the middle of the night when things are quiet. When there's stress and there's chaos around him, he has the opposite reaction.
Yeah,
it's like an athlete's reaction.
He immediately put on social media, I'm safe and well, nothing will slow me down, I will never surrender, I will always love you for supporting me. And hats off, as you were mentioning, to the witness, the person who took a picture of the car, took a picture of the license plate, notified police, they notified the next county because they knew the guy was driving on I-95 into Martin County, and the Martin County police officers you saw in those pictures pulled him over and they detained him.
Well, and one other thing, and that is the Secret Service. Unlike in Butler, they actually had apparently a drone or drones over the golf course yesterday. Usually when they do something like that, it's tethered. Like when we were at the National Convention in Milwaukee, there was a drone tethered over the arena. So it'll be interesting to see, did that impact anything other than when we saw the car drive away?
You know what that means, Steve? You probably see the video leading up to him getting the car.
Right. But the problem is you didn't see the gun.
Right.
Or they would have done something. Hats off. And I hope we learn more about this particular agent. How long they've been on the force of the Secret Service and things like that, because he's just going through, he's looking around, checking the fence line, and there's a guy with a gun and he squeezed off some shots.
So scary. Both
What
of
a
y'all,
story.
you played with President Bush, you played with Donald Trump. You'll have to share those stories coming up in the show. But right now,
I'm Steve Juicy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page.
Meanwhile, House Speaker Mike Johnson posting this.
Let me do a commercial here. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the Clarity Factor so you can focus on your work or your school. This gets rid of the brain fog. It also helps to keep those connections, the neural connections, the dendritic connections strong, get those neurotransmitters firing. So this is part of a stack for neural health. This is synergistic with NAD+, ubiquinol, C60 to help to improve your neural health. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and take Clarity Factor. I take it every day. All right. Some people prefer to take it in the morning. Some people take it in the mid-afternoon. It's up to you, but you should be taking it every day. I have a great product on the store. It's the olive leaf extract. This is a dual purpose product. This helps to improve your immune system and your cardiovascular health. It brings down inflammation, so it's improving the immune system that way. And it's helping the cardiovascular health by bringing down LDL levels and raising your HDL levels. That way you're controlling your cholesterol better. You don't want to go down a statin route. A lot of people in the United States have poor cholesterol, have a high cholesterol rating, and that could push them to a point where they may need medication and be on statin. You don't want to go down that route. If you follow what I do, you will not need a statin. And that is proper diet, proper exercise. All right, so reduce your intake of cholesterol. Take oatmeal, so you're binding the cholesterol and you're excreting it through your feces. And take supplements that will lower your LDL levels and increase your HDL levels. I have olive leaf extract to help you with that. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. I have just told you a way to stay away from statins. All right. So, take my advice or don't take my advice. But believe me, if you go down the statin route, you're going to wish you took my advice, because statins are not good for you. Please go to my store and get the powdered probiotic. I also have a VeggieCat version, but you need to take a probiotic daily. There's a scooper in here. You just mix it with your food. I mix it with my hummus every day, and or you can mix it with water. But you should be taking it every day. And with a good probiotic, what's going to happen is you're going to have better gut health. You're going to have better digestion. You're going to be able to absorb those nutrients better. You're going to have better metabolism. You're going to have better communication between your gut and your liver and your gut and your brain. Brain health is correlated to your gut. And if you have a good probiotic and you're doing it regularly, you're bringing down that inflammatory response in your gut and you're improving your immune system. Chronic inflammation of the gut is going to cause metabolism issues. It's going to cause endocrine disruption. It could cause damage to the inner lining of your gut and cause cancers. So it's important to bring down that inflammation, improve your immune system, and reduce the chances of disease of the gut. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the probiotic. This is a great way to improve your health. All right. A lot of people don't realize skin health is a manifestation of the health of your gut. If you have bad gut, you most likely have bad skin. So please go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and improve your gut health by taking the powdered probiotic or the VeggieCat version that I have.
Photo from Mar-a-Lago yesterday, where he visited with Donald Trump right after the second assassination attempt at his golf course nearby. Speaker Johnson joins us now to react. Mr. Speaker, did you think maybe your meeting was going to be canceled when you heard about the shooting? And what demeanor how would you describe the president when you got to him?
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Thanks for having me. My wife Kelly and I were on the way to Mar-a-Lago when the shooting occurred. And so we were delayed a little bit because they shut down all the traffic. But then we arrived there about the time that President Trump did. We spent about 3 hours with him. He was in very good spirits, as you might expect. That's who he is. He's so resilient that we were really grateful to see him. I said this, and we'll all be talking about this for quite some time. There's no leader in the history of America that has been so attacked and has remained so strong and so resilient. He's one of a kind. He is not going to stop fighting for the American people. And it was really encouraging for us to sit and visit with him right after that happened.
Mr. Speaker, I know your faith is very important to you,
So
and after
they're just
the first assassination,
they're just replaying what they said before. So I want to go to Sean Hannity. What did he have to say?
Fox News alert: moments after the second assassination attempt on his life yesterday afternoon, former President Donald Trump sharing his main concerns with Sean Hannity of Fox News as he was rushed back to the clubhouse at his golf course.
and Sean Hannity joins us now. Sean, it happened at 1:30 yesterday afternoon, and you got a call before it even broke, before we all knew about it. Tell us that story.
It wasn't really, actually, guys, it was not long right after the incident happened. The president was playing with a dear friend of mine, Steve Woodcoff, and
I had gone to breakfast with Steve and another guy, another friend of ours, and we had breakfast together. The whole breakfast, Steve was giving me a hard time. Come play golf with us. Come play golf with us. And Steve is near a scratch golfer. The president pretty much is a scratch golfer. And I'm like, I don't have time to play, so I'm not that good with you, good at golf right now. But I hope to get back to it. I used to play. And so he goes off and plays. My phone rings. Maybe before
Donald
two,
Trump,
right after
their
the
first
incident
face-to-face
happened,
meeting in this presidential election,
in
their
the
first
clubhouse,
face-to-face
and he
meeting
told me what
ever.
had happened, and he said that 4 shots had gone off. They heard it. It was pop, 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 pop. That's how he described it, and he was absolutely, positively blown away by how quickly the Secret Service got on the president, got him off the golf course, how quickly tripods were set up by sharpshooters within the Secret Service, and how professional they were. He will tell his entire story tonight on Hannity. There are a couple of things. I was listening to Brian's interview with the sheriff that law enforcement in Florida is so much better than it is in New York. They don't buy into this woke, defund, dismantle, no bail law, idiocy and insanity. They take law and order very seriously down here, and I praise the sheriff and I praise everybody in the Secret Service. But there is something we have to examine very closely here. After a conversation I had with Governor DeSantis last night, it really struck me. I said, Governor, you played that golf course. Tell me a little bit more about it. And he was describing how there are 2 holes, a par 3 and a par 4. The par 4 is a drivable par 4. And what he described to me was the area closest to where this fence is that we keep hearing about, that is surrounded in this treed area. And what is really disconcerting to me, if you go back to Butler, remember, we were told by the Secret Service, the people who are making the decisions what the perimeter around the president ought to be, not the guys that are willing to dive on the president, put their life in harm's way and die to protect him, but the people that are responsible for making sure that perimeter is closed. There are some real serious questions, more than we had yesterday this morning, because they got within 130 yards in Butler, and they claimed it was a slope roof that turned out not to be a slope roof at all. And that's very troublesome that we weren't told the truth then. And we still haven't gotten to the bottom of it. We know that Connecticut Senator Blumenthal said Americans will be shocked. They will be appalled when they learn about the failures in Butler. But now we have a situation where we have a street about 300 yards from where the president was. And what's very disconcerting to me is, how is it possible that nobody was watching that street? And the way Governor DeSantis described this to me was, if you ever see a picture of Donald Trump playing golf, it's a photographer in that treat area by the fence that we keep hearing about, that's the area where they're going to get the picture. Right. They're not going to get it anywhere else on the golf course. Well, that would also be the area that if you are a shooter, that you have the closest proximity to now a top presidential candidate, former president. And that kind of bothered me during the press conference yesterday when they said, well, there would have been more protection if he was the president. There was a recent assassination attempt just 60 some odd days ago. He's a top presidential contender. We're 51 days away from a presidential election. And you're allowing somebody with an AK-47 that has a scope on it to be literally within 300 yards, which would be the equivalent, if you want a golf analogy, of a 1-foot putt or a tap-in putt. So there is a major failure here if they're not covering that street and making sure nobody gets in the bushes, let alone with an AK-47 and 2 backpacks and a GoPro and everything else we know that this guy had. It's scary. I will tell you this. I think as close as Butler was, this is so eerie. This guy got very close to killing the president. If it weren't for one Secret Service agent, spotting the rifle and taking the shot, This guy gets a
Sean.
shot off. This is a very different story
Quickly,
today.
tell us the story. I heard you share it on radio about the town hall, how your last town hall with Donald Trump was different.
Well, you know,
Let's say you're a marketer at a streetwear company, but you don't know grandfluencers are your most vocal supporters. You don't know what you don't know about your
Different.
well, you know, I thought at some point somebody might remember I said that story. I was probably not going to talk about it again. If LJ was here today, I was going to say to LJ, I've been doing town halls since before you were born. We all love LJ. And I've done all these town halls all around the country. I've done many with President Trump in particular. I've had events with George W. Bush, other presidents, and other presidential candidates. I think I interviewed all 17 Republican candidates back when they were running in 2015 and 16. And so I've had all these town halls. When I did the recent one in Harrisburg, I'd never faced a situation like I did here, where the Secret Service was adamant nobody in the audience could be on the floor surrounding the stage. That had never been the case at any previous town hall. Then we were told, yeah, we're not going to allow you to fill up the entire building. And there was a little back and forth with the campaign, and we were asking why, because that had never happened before. And then one other very strange thing happened that I had never experienced, which was the Secret Service, whoever was in charge of the detail that day, very nicely, great guy. I love these guys. I admire these guys. They're willing to risk their lives for people. He asked for a few minutes of my time to pull me aside, pull me to an area where we were both looking at the stage that I was going to be on, doing the town hall, where I would be sitting, where President Trump would be sitting, and then pointed out on the stage, I don't want to go into too many details, pointed out in the area 2 separate locations I could go if shots were fired at that event. In all the town halls I had done over all these many years, that had never happened before, nor had we had audience limitations like we had there. Wow. So that was pretty odd, which tells me, if I was going to make a conclusion, there are actionable threats that probably, and this is what Director Ray is talking about every time he goes before Congress.
Indeed. And folks, tune in to Sean's show tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern time, where he will talk with the former president about what went down yesterday.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'm Steve Ducey. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
You know what's interesting is how CNN doesn't really play too much about this whole incident here. I want to play the sheriff. That's on CNN.
All right, so soon this morning, we expect to see the suspect in the apparent assassination attempt on Donald Trump in his first court appearance. It's unclear what charges he will face, but we're expected to learn more about that today. Wesley Routh was taken into custody following the shooting incident with Secret Service Sunday. He was stopped, you see a picture there, stopped on the highway in nearby Martin County. Joining us right now is Martin County, Florida Sheriff William Snyder. Sheriff, thank you very much for coming on. How did you catch, stop him, and take this man into custody?
Good morning, Kate. Well, what happened is this. After the attempted assassination of President Trump, we received the ball over be on the lookout from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. We had a vehicle description and a tag. We immediately deployed to the interstate. We are the border county to Palm Beach County. And so we put all our resources up on the interstate, helicopter, everything we had. And fortunately, one of my road patrol deputies saw the vehicle, followed it for a couple miles, waited till we call them pinch vehicles, big trucks with heavy front end bumpers, and we forced the vehicle to a stop. I-95 conducted a felony stop, brought him out of the vehicle, and safely apprehended.
Can you describe for me his demeanor, how he acted when he was picked up? I heard you call it perplexing this morning.
Yeah, I was there right after the stop, and it was perplexing. You know, somebody who actually at the time we weren't positive that we had the suspect, we had the vehicle, we thought we had him, but his facial affect was so flat. His demeanor was relaxed. I honestly thought it looked like somebody who had just left the church picnic and was on his way home. And the interstate was calling with law enforcement. You know, SWAT team had gotten out there, rifles, helicopter, I-95 shut down, a bomb dog, everything was there. And he was as calm as really as if he was going for dinner.
Well, all that we have heard so far in the reporting is that he is not talking to investigators. Did he say anything at all during any of these interactions when you picked him up?
No, it really was the oddest part of it. He never asked the question, why are you stopping? What's going on? You know, we're used to stopping people on I-95 all the time. We're known as the wrong exit county. Don't commit a crime and go to Martin. And I would have expected he would have said, what's this about? I didn't do anything, you guys, or whatever. Not a thing. He was just calm and good to go.
Anything in the car about the car that was noteworthy that you can tell us about?
Yeah, I think what was noteworthy about the car was how not noteworthy it was. You know, it's just the ideal car to slip through traffic. I-95, heavily traveled. It was really God's blessing, I think. First of all, that President Trump wasn't hit. And second of all, that we were able to find him as fast as we did and, you know, prevent the anxiety.
I just have this feeling that he is a CIA asset. You do all these pictures of, you know, recruiting for Ukraine and make it seem like he's a little off, a little crazy, you know, make it plausible that he's a little off. Something's not right. Too calm. Even Oswald was calm when he was in the police custody. Another kind of feature, because they feel as though they're part of an organization that will protect them. Be interesting what transpires with this guy. He looks like an asset.
For the Trump family, a killer on the loose. It was good all around.
What questions? This is a federal investigation now. Your job was to pick this guy up, pick up a suspect, and turn him over to the FBI so they can take on the investigation. Now, what are your questions, Sheriff, about all of this as this investigation now continues?
I think the first question, obviously, that they'll want is this a conspiracy? Did this guy act alone? Was he a lone wolf? Possible. Or was he sent by some group to get the president of the United States? I mean, I understand there's a rifle, there was optics on the rifle. That's pretty serious. That wasn't somebody who just woke up and thought, well, let me see what I'm doing. We understand he's not from the area. So are we tracking with a conspiracy? That's the question that I think has to be answered, because if it is a conspiracy, there are other people out there that we have to get to.
Right.
Martin County Sheriff William Snyder, your team, you guys did your job yesterday. Thank you so much for coming on.
You know, the thing is that she's wishing that Trump got hit. You know, because everything about CNN is anti-Trump. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. You get the lignans. Lignans is a great powder that you mix with your food or with water. It helps to boost up your immune system. In addition, it will help to improve your hormonal health. So it's for males and females. You just mix the powder with your food or with water. Take it every day. It's really important to boost up your immune system. I have given you detailed reasons of why this is important. All right, especially in the aftershock of 2020. Our immune systems are trashed because of the event that we went through, either through the pathogen or through the inoculation of both. It is important to boost up your immune system. Everyone's risk factors have gone up because we have a weakened immune system. So please go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. The link is in the description of this video. Click the link, go to the store, and purchase lignans. It's a very high quality product. You should be taking it every day to improve your immune system. Omega-3, important to control your lipid profile. It will lower your LDL and it helps to increase your HDL. Omega-3 is also a way to prevent your red blood cells from sticking too much. So it'll help to prevent clots. So please go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Take the omega-3 every day to help to improve your lipid profile. It is synergistic with the nattokinase and the olive leaf extract to help to improve your cardiovascular health. Good night formula. I mean, every time you watch CNN, you know, you can't sleep. So please go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the good night formula. It'll help you to get into 3 cycles of REM sleep and deep sleep. That's important to help to detoxify the body, to be well rested, and to consolidate memory. If you have chronic deprivation of sleep, you have a chance of increasing your chances of dementia and increased you're going to accelerate the aging process. All right. So please go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the good night formula.
Joining us right now is former Secret Service Supervisory Special Agent Charles Moreno and CNN Senior Law Enforcement Analyst, former DC Police Chief, former Police Commissioner of Philadelphia, Charles Ramsey. Gentlemen, Chief, you've been following this from literally the moments we were getting these first reports in of this all unfolding. As we're learning more about this man's background, the pieces of the puzzle, pieces of a larger, bigger puzzle, what in his background sticks out to you, grabs your attention right now?
Well, I mean, the fact that he was arrested and charged with possession of a weapon of mass destruction, obviously, he has a criminal record. The other charges, my understanding, are relatively minor. But as John Miller just mentioned, we don't know the disposition of that particular case. But obviously, that stands out. The other thing that stands out to me is an open question, and that is, how did he know the president was going to be on the golf course? I mean, this is an individual that apparently has scouted it out. When you look at the map, you see a roadway very close to holes 5 and 6, which it would make sense that that would be a location if you were going to try to take a shot, it would be closer, and would give you an opportunity to do so, and also give you an escape route too. So, you know, his planning, which was obviously present for this, but those are the kinds of questions that need to be answered. Hopefully we start to get some answers today.
Yeah, Mr. Moreno, let me lean on that, because add into exactly what the chief was laying out about questions about planning. Also this fact that Trump's golf game on Sunday, it was a last minute addition to his schedule, sources say. He had no public events planned. What does that say about pre-planning, lack thereof, or that how long he was there, or if there was some element of luck for this man, not for obviously Secret Service and President Trump? Well, how do you add all that together?
Well, the former president is rather predictable in what he does when he is in West Palm Beach. And this is an example of that. So even though this was what's known as an off-the-record movement, it was an off-the-record movement to a location that he visits often. So there is a degree of predictability here on the part saying, look, there's a very good chance that the former president can come here. Let's face it, anytime a protectee of the Secret Service arrives to a location, whether on the record or off the record, it's very noticeable, especially with the security level that the former president travels with.
Yeah, but that would mean that that would have meant that the guy was staking it out, and that he was out there waiting. And he didn't know what day or what hour or whatever, so he was just waiting and waiting and waiting. What's his support? He must have had some sort of support. Where was he living? Where was he staying? Where was he eating?
The suspect was staying in the area. It may have been very noticeable when the former president got there. But, you know, I'm still waiting for the results of the search warrant that are going to be executed on his vehicle.
Not only that,
I think there's going to be numerous items that are
So I don't know how many golf courses he has in Florida, but let's just say the 2. This international golf course and then Mar-a-Lago. Does that mean that there were a group of people waiting at Mar-a-Lago too? And there's some sort of coordination between them? So he was in Florida. You don't know which place he's going to go. So you have, A team and B team. I'm telling you, there was a coordination going on. Something's not right about this. Not right. And he's too calm.
In the car that are and will be of protective interest to the Secret Service on the protective intelligence side, that can lead to some degree of surveillance that was being conducted by this individual, to include documentation, things like maps, things like notes. How long was this suspect tracking the former president, and in which ways?
Chief, I want to play once again what we heard this morning from the sheriff of Martin County, Florida. This is where this man, the suspect, was taken into custody. Listen to this.
His demeanor was perplexing in some way, despite the fact that we had numerous people out with rifles, uniformed personnel, a helicopter, interstate shutdown. He was as calm as if he was going to a Sunday picnic.
Chief, what does that tell you?
Professional.
That's not normal. I mean, average person, you get stopped by police and you've got weapons pointed at you, you certainly would not be calm and collected. But, this is an individual that had planned this, was very cold and calculating. And so it's not surprising that his reaction would be like that. And again, to me, that points toward his involvement in this. And I'm sure that, Secret Service, FBI probably already confirmed that he was the individual that was seen there. We have to remember now, a witness actually saw him leave that area and had the presence of mind to take a photograph of both the car and the license tag. So he's there. They can put him there. So it's pretty consistent with what we've seen so far.
Yeah, and Ms. Marino, the acting director of the Secret Service is headed to Florida today. How are they, or should they be rethinking threats against Donald Trump and his protection now after this?
Yeah, well, the quick question here is, do the resources and operational planning of the Secret Service around the former president match the actual threat level? And that's a question that the acting director and others are going to have to answer for Congress and the American public. The way the agents assigned to the former president yesterday reacted was exceptional. They were doing their jobs. They were out in advance, a couple of holes ahead of the former president. But the question then takes us back, as it did in Butler, Pennsylvania, to the planning of the outer perimeters and how much is enough for the former president. What I can tell you is a losing argument is he's a former president and this is all he's entitled to. That's not going to work. You don't sign up to protect the former president as the Secret Service and say, look, the threat level can only get so high and this is all we're going to give you. That's not the reality of their mission. So they're going to have to constantly assess this threat, both domestically and from foreign entities like Iran, and up the resources and planning here.
Yeah, gentlemen, a lot more to learn, but thankful for you to help walk us through it as we know it now. Thank you both very much.
And CNN wished that Trump was hit because CNN hates Trump. So we'll do one last video with the Hill to get an idea of their perspective on it, because there's, some liberal bias there too. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the C60. I have it in extra virgin olive oil. I have it in MCT coconut oil and avocado oil. You should be taking this every day. Take a teaspoon of it a day. What it will do is it'll soak up free radicals. That C60 is suspended in a lipid, so in an oil, and that C60 will soak up those free radicals in your cells and help to boost up the health of your mitochondria. When you have more energy, when you have healthier cells, you're going to have a better immune system too. So your tissues are going to be performing better, your organs are going to be performing better, and your immune system is going to be performing better. When you take this on a regular basis, take it every day, teaspoon of it a day, and you're soaking up those free radicals, you're going to notice that you're aging slower. All right. In addition, this is synergistic with stacking it with Clarity Factor, because this is going to help to boost up the mitochondrial health. And by boosting up the mitochondrial health in your neurons, you're going to be able to produce more neurotransmitters and have further improved connection with your neurons. So you can think faster, you have better memory, you have better coordination of your muscles and balancing. Really important as you age. So it's synergistic with C60, or C60 is synergistic with clarity factor. It's also synergistic with ubiquinol. Ubiquinol is also another antioxidant. Synergistic with turmeric, which is another antioxidant. It's also synergistic with resveratrol to help to improve that mitochondrial health. So C60 is a major component to improve your body, and it's a major pillar of the anti-aging protocol and the longevity protocol. Really important. We can take lessons learned from the longevity crowd and the anti-aging crowd to improve our cells and our tissues, our organs, and our immune system. So please go to the store, get the C60 in extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, or coconut oil. Take a teaspoon of it a day. Take it with some of the other things that I've been mentioning. Go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. I have it in a 2 ounce, a 4 ounce, and an 8 ounce configuration. I also have a product that is a detoxifier. Zeolite helps to detoxify heavy metals, toxins, and chemicals out of your body. It is a negatively charged molecule that will attach to positively charged molecules, and then you excrete it, you urinate it through about 6 to 8 hours. You should take a few of these drops underneath your tongue and then swallow with filtered water. All right, do it every day. And that way you're soaking up those chemicals and toxins and getting them out of your body. A lot of people have never detoxified their body, quote, officially. It's important to do, and if you do it regularly, you're going to improve your endocrine system, you're going to improve your exocrine system, you're going to improve your immune system, you're going to improve the health of your tissues. So it's important to do. If you're on medication, you should talk to your healthcare provider and tell them that you want to go on zeolite. Why? Because you want to make sure that zeolite is not binding to your medication and bringing down your dosage level. So if you're going to be detoxifying your body and you are on medication, you need to talk to your healthcare provider. Talk to your doctor if you are on medication, if you want to take zeolite. If you're not on medication, just go to the store and get the zeolite and start detoxifying your body. But if you are on medication, you need to talk to your doctor before you start using zeolite, because they may need to adjust your medication dosage. It's very good to detoxify your body. We are bombarded by chemicals, toxins, heavy metals in our food, in our water, and in our air that we breathe. So, and pesticides and everywhere we go, there are what are called forever chemicals. You can get those forever chemicals out of your body. First, you start with the source. How are they getting into your body? A lot of them are getting into your body through unfiltered water, processed foods, overly pesticide produce. Well, filter your water. Start eating organic. Start washing your vegetables and all that. If you're growing a garden, that's even better. And just stay away from those processed foods. Right? Eat healthy, eat better, and filter your water. That will go a long way in preventing stuff getting into your body. Now you got to focus on what's in your body, and that's when you start doing different types of detoxing. Zeolite is a way to detoxify those chemicals, to bind and then to urinate it out. Other detoxifying methods are colon cleanses, liver cleanses, kidney cleanses. So there are different methods, and they all have their niche, but take zeolite to bind those chemicals and toxins to get them out of your body, especially PFAS and PFAS. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the zeolite.
Good morning and welcome to Rising. We've got a great show for you today. It is the dawn of a new day at our new studio, which we're super excited about. I want to thank the entire staff of Rising and At the Hill for working round the clock to get this place ready. But it's pretty nice, is it not, Niall Stanage?
Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be in these salubrious new surroundings. It looks great. I like our backdrop. I like our lights. We're pretty excited with that.
Yeah, we're still working out some kinks, obviously, so please bear with us. And of course, let us know what you think about the studio in the comments. I'm sure we'll be updating some things as we proceed, but we've got a really great show for you today, and I'm excited to get to it because we have some big news breaking, obviously, over the weekend that we want to talk about here. Now, it's been a little more than 2 months since former President Donald Trump survived an assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. Now the FBI is investigating what appears to be a second assassination attempt at his Florida golf club on Sunday. The Secret Service spotted a rifle barrel poking out of a fence, and agents fired at a man hiding in the bushes along the perimeter of the Trump International Golf Club. The suspect is Ryan Wesley Routh. He fled in a car and was detained after being stopped on the highway sometime later. Now, the suspect's ex-posts in the past showed a tendency for violent rhetoric in the weeks after Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Routh posted on then what was called Twitter, "I am willing to fly to Krakow and go to the border of Ukraine to volunteer and fight and die." The Trump campaign communications director said in a statement, President Trump is safe following gunshots in his vicinity. Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw said a witness told them they saw a guy run out of the bushes and jump into a black Nissan.
Now, Donald Trump was playing golf at the time, 300 to 500 yards away from the suspect. Law enforcement say they found an AK-47 style rifle, a GoPro camera, and backpacks where Routh was positioned. Donald Trump thanked Secret Service on Truth Social. Quote, "I would like to thank everyone for your concern and well wishes. It was certainly an interesting day. I want to thank the U.S. Secret Service, Sheriff Rick Bradshaw, and his Office of Brave and Dedicated Patriots, and all of law enforcement for the incredible job done today at Trump International in keeping me as the 45th President of the United States and the Republican nominee in the upcoming presidential election safe." Routh has a criminal record dating back to at least 2002, when he was convicted in Guilford County, North Carolina, on one felony count of possession of a weapon of mass destruction, according to state court records. But Secret Service is under scrutiny again.
Say that one more time and talk up a little bit.
So, how does it say what happened and for future reference, is there any golf course?
Well, you gotta understand, the golf course is surrounded by shrubbery, so when somebody gets into the shrubbery, they're pretty much out of sight, right? And at this level that he is at right now, he's not the city president. If he was, we would have had this entire golf course around him. But because he's not, the security is limited to the areas that the Secret Service deems possible. So I would imagine that the next time he comes to the golf course, there'll probably be a little bit more people around the perimeter. But the Secret Service did exactly what they should have done. They provided exactly what the protection should have been, and their agent did a fantastic job.
Now, Routh is in court today.
So let's start with that reaction there from the sheriff explaining Secret Service did everything right, and this is why the perimeter isn't as exhaustively patrolled as you might expect. I think that's going to come as cold comfort to a lot of people after what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. Obviously, the Secret Service director, Kimberly Cheadle, resigned in the wake of that. Some really appalling security failures with the shooter there taking a shot at Trump, hitting him, killing someone in the crowd from a rooftop that most people think ought to have been secured. I mean, why is that outside the perimeter if you can hit Trump from that distance? Those are questions members of Congress on both sides asked at the hearing. Now, in this case, I get that it's, there's ample places, I guess, to hide on a golf course. But the idea that, well, he's not the sitting president, so he has slightly less security. I mean, he's running for the presidency. He's a very in the public eye sort of person. There's a lot of crazy people out there. He is a high risk target, a person of significant public interest. The idea that he doesn't have maybe enough security because he's not the sitting president sounds like a ludicrous excuse to me.
So I think there are two parts to this, right? One is the actual agents on the ground clearly did a better job this time around. As far as we know, an agent spotted the barrel of a rifle poking through the undergrowth. That agent seems to have taken immediate action. This was happening on a golf course, I believe, around 1 or 2 holes away from where former President Trump was actually golfing. So well done in that sense for the Secret Service being diligent and being observant. The problem,
they didn't wait for him to shoot. The shots came from the Secret Service.
Right, exactly.
Glad to hear that finally.
Now, in Butler, I mean, there are all sorts of failures, and you've outlined them there, including just the simple fact that in Butler, the guy was able to get onto a rooftop with a line of sight to an open air rally. That's insane stuff. Now, there is a separate question, I agree, about the broad protection for Trump. As a former president and someone with a 50-50 shot of becoming the next president. It is interesting to me, Robbie, that I was looking this up, and the actual number of people in the Secret Service dedicated to protective duties has declined even as the Secret Service's budget has increased. That seems an incongruity for a start, and clearly if you have 2 assassination attempts against the same person within 9 weeks of each other, that obviously begs pretty serious questions.
He's faced more assassination attempts than Kamala Harris has done sit-down interviews since becoming the candidate. Let's talk a little bit about the shooter himself. So this happens to be a person, alleged shooter. Wesley Routh has a significant social media presence, actually has been someone of a political and activist nature, someone who was involved, who had been interviewed by the media. There was write-ups about him or that he contributed to in New York Times and Semaphore for trying to drum up support for the Ukraine war. He was actually involved in trying to get volunteers, U.S. trained soldiers in Afghanistan to come volunteer with Ukraine. So his political trajectory is pretty clearly fleshed out from his presence, that he was formerly a Trump supporter, at least a Republican, but is now very much a kind of never Trump person and was in support of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. You know, we're always trying to scrutinize shooters' motives. Like the guy in Butler, Pennsylvania seems more like just your garden variety, lunatic, unwell, just looking for something to do to make a big splash attention. Whereas this person might have more surface level discernible political motivation.
I think that's right. I was struck myself when he was first identified about how well practiced we've all become at these kind of situations. So as soon as the name came up, I went to social media where his profiles were going to be scrubbed to see what he was saying, you know. It was overwhelmingly about Ukraine, very emphatically pro-Ukraine, hardly even reaches the mark of the kind of views he was expressing. Some of them did seem honestly a bit eccentric, to say the least. He was suggesting on one occasion that President Biden should somehow give leave to all American members of the military so they could go as private citizens to fight on behalf of Ukraine. That isn't the view of a balanced person, but yes, I mean, it's clear that he did have some political views.
So some reactions to the attempted assassination. Obviously, Kamala Harris said that she was glad Trump is fine, and so did Joe Biden. And you know, there's going to be more looked into it. There were a couple less kind, less good reactions. One was from Rachel Vindman, who's the wife of Alexander Vindman, who was a prominent figure in the Trump the first Trump impeachment. She tweeted, "No ears were harmed. Carry on with your Sunday afternoon." Not a very nice thing to say. And Adam Kinzinger, I noticed, said, look, a former Republican representative turned kind of fixture on CNN, anti-Trump person. He wrote on X, look, violent rhetoric is wrong and has no place, but MAGA pretending they didn't like this fire is gaslighting to the 100th power. Since Trump showed up, our politics has gone to crap, literally just accusing a group of people beating our pets, etc. I think it's not good. Look, yes, there's a lot of heated rhetoric from
this whole Democrat liberal mob, right, goes back way before even Trump ran for office. It was happening during the Obama administration. It was happening during the Bush junior administration. So, come on. Every time that they wanted to put a conservative judge on the bench, what happens? If a president, a Republican president, wants to put a conservative person on the bench, they go and, cause riot, lies, and all this stuff. All right? Look at the rhetoric that was coming out of Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and Waters. I'm telling you, this is. We had a close call, and thank God that he's okay, that Trump's okay. But the thing is that the rhetoric on the other side isn't toning down. It's not toning down. I mean, according to what Robbie's saying here, it's not toning down. And so it's gonna another cycle of this is gonna happen. It's so sad that we're going through this kind of situation. We shouldn't be. But please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the nattokinase. This helps to bring down LDL levels, increases your HDL levels. It's synergistic with the omega-3 and some of the other ways to lower your cholesterol. In addition, it's fibrinolytic, which basically means that it will help to break up clots. So please go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, improve your cardiovascular health with nattokinase. People that are on the whole anti-aging and the longevity track, they take nattokinase on a daily basis. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and improve your cardiovascular health. Vitamin K2, important for your bones and for your cardiovascular system. You should be taking this every day. All right. I've been taking it every day for a long, long, long time. All right. Now I have it available on my store. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the vitamin K2. This is the MK7 molecule. If you've been following my protocol on how to improve your bones, how to reduce osteoarthritis, and how to improve your cardiovascular health, if you follow it, you're going to start seeing major improvements with your body. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the vitamin K2 and follow the protocol.
Been on both sides and on all sides. But in this case, I think it's weird to I'm sure MAG people are going to say that heated rhetoric from Democrats or the media, whatever, contributes to that. And I'll push back on that when they say that, because I think heated rhetoric is very lazily attributed to being the cause of people committing violence. But it seems wrong here to say that, it's actually Trump's fault that someone targeted him for the crazy things he says.
I think there's a whole separate conversation to be had about the heated rhetoric and inflammatory rhetoric. I think we disagree in that I don't think it's symmetrical. I don't think the left does it as much as the right, or the people who do it on the left are these sort of media characters rather than former presidents of the United States. Having said that, the likes of the Vindman quote, I think, is just lacking in taste and basic decency. And the thing that overall frustrates me about these kinds of situations is people make arguments that they would never make if the political affiliations were reversed. If, and thankfully this did not happen, but if former President Obama were golfing and there was a guy with an AK-47 targeting him 2 goals ahead, nobody on the left would be making light of that, as they shouldn't, but when they do.
Absolutely, very good point. I did see some of those Mueller she wrote accounts, very Dem partisan accounts, flirting with, I don't even believe this happened, or inside job kind of thing. Just always a good reminder, it's not media likes to it's only crazy thinking on the right. No, there's some crazy thinking in the pro-democratic category as well. All right, that's our first segment in our new studio. We got that one under our belts. Lots more rising to come. Please stay tuned.
All right. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Link is in the description of this video, and get the NAC. NAC is important to help to improve your levels of glutathione. It's an antioxidant that helps to soak up those free radicals. It's a different pathway. It's synergistic with C60. So you should be taking this with the C60 to get even better performance. The more antioxidants you take, the more that you're soaking up those free radicals and you're reducing the chances of cellular damage. and you're improving the health of your tissues and the health of your immune system. So please take the NAC that I provide on my store. I take it every day. All right. Now I finally can provide it to you on my store. So please take the NAC, improve your glutathione levels. It also helps to detoxify your body, and it helps to improve mental health. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the NAC. NAD plus helps to improve energy levels. It also helps to improve the repair mechanism for DNA repair. So if you need to repair your DNA, NAD plus is an important supplement to take. It'll increase your energy levels and protect your neural health. So it's synergistic with the clarity factor and other neuroprotector supplements that I offer. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the NAD plus. Ubiquinol, the active form for CoQ10, extremely important to improve your energy. It's an antioxidant, and it also helps to improve the neural health. So it's synergistic with NAD. Ubiquinol, the active form for CoQ10, so ubiquinol helps to improve your energy levels. NAD plus also helps to improve your energy levels, but a different pathway. It's an antioxidant, so you're bringing down those free radicals, and it's neuroprotective. So it's neuroprotective in a different pathway. So what's important here is that you're stacking with things that help to boost up your immune system and improve your neural health. By doing that on a regular basis, you're slowing down the cognitive decline through normal aging. This is why the anti-agers use ubiquinol. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. It's the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the ubiquinol. It's the active form for CoQ10. I've been taking ubiquinol for a long, long time. So please go to my store and get the ubiquinol. That's the end of my transmission. Thank you for listening. Please ask your social media to follow me so I can reach a larger audience to be able to explain the geopolitical events that are taking place, what's going on in the economy, and how to improve your health. Thank you for listening, and have a nice day.